The European response must be operational, meaning that there can be no weaknesses. I think it needs to be reiterated that anyone who violates European airspace is liable to reprisals, because that is our right, and we will enforce European airspace and continue to equip ourselves. Everything that has happened in recent weeks in Poland, Romania and Estonia, and also, even if they have not yet been attributed, the drone incursions in Denmark show that we need highly effective early warning systems and to cooperate with each other to protect our common airspace. And all of this is very consistent with the equipment we are currently deploying and the systems we are planning to implement. We are in a confrontation with Russia, which for several years has been a very aggressive player in our information space, as we have seen in the context of elections and elsewhere, which is increasing its cyber attacks, which has obviously launched a war of aggression in Ukraine, which is using the nuclear threat and which today, as we can clearly see, is provoking our airspace. All of this is part of a hybrid set of actions that fall within the scope of confrontation.
Russia continues hybrid war against NATO. New drones detected in Germany and Denmark. US is considering sending long-range missiles to Ukraine. Meanwhile, Ukraine and the US are working on a robust technological agreement. What is known about new drone incidents in Europe, and what are the US options on the types of missiles which could be sent to Ukraine? Europe is grappling with the way of mysterious drone incursions that have disrupted airport operations and raised security concerns. Late Wednesday night, Munich International Airport, Germany's second largest hub, was forced to suspend all flights after multiple drones were spotted near its airspace. The shutdown lasted several hours, affecting approximately 17 departing flights and diverting around 15 flights, including nearby airports Stuttgart, Nuremberg, Vienna and Frankfurt. Nearly 3,000 passengers were stranded overnight, many of whom remained in the terminal with provided blankets, snacks and camp beds. Officials have yet to determine the source or purpose of the drones, and no suspects have been apprehended. The Munich incident follows a series of similar drone sightings in Denmark that have forced temporary closure of airports and military bases. Danish authorities reported drone activity near Aalborg, Billund and other civilian airports, as well as military installations like Karup Air Base and other bases home to advanced fighter jets F-16 and F-35. Danish intelligence officials have warned that these incursions may represent a coordinated hybrid attack, posing a high risk of sabotage against critical infrastructure. The Danish government has raised the alarm with NATO and is reportedly considering invoking Article 4 of NATO's charter, which calls for consultations among member states in the event of security threat. While no group has claimed responsibility for these activities, European security experts suspect state-level actors may be testing vulnerabilities in civilian airspace. Russia has denied involvement, through officials in the region remain cautious. Meanwhile, Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen warned on Wednesday that Europe is in the middle of hybrid war waged by Russia.
I hope that everybody recognizes now that there is a hybrid war. And one day it's Poland, the other day it's Denmark, and next week it will probably somewhere else that we see sabotage, or we see drones flying, or we see, you can, there are many different kind of episodes. So I see this from a European perspective. There is only one country that are willing to threat us, and it is Russia, and therefore we need a very strong answer back. And of course I want us to rearm. I want us to buy more capabilities. I want us to innovate more, for example, on drones. But at the same time, we have to be very, very transparent and frank. In a hybrid war, you cannot defend yourself against all different kind of activities. It's the whole idea of a hybrid war, to do many different things at the same time.
Trump's administration, meanwhile, is not expected to approve the transfer of long-range Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine, despite ongoing discussions with Kyiv's growing interest in acquiring more advanced missile strike, according to Reuters report. Citing US officials and individuals, Reuters reports that current Tomahawk missile inventories are largely reserved for US Navy operations, making it logistically and strategically difficult to divert them to Ukraine. The Tomahawk missile, a precision-guided cruise missile with a range of roughly 1,550 miles, would represent a significant boost in Ukraine's ability to strike deep. Military analysts have pointed out that such capability could alter battlefield dynamics, especially as Ukraine seeks to target Russian logistics. Still, US officials expressed skepticism about the feasibility of sending the missiles, both due to limited stockpiles and potential risk of so-called Biden-era escalation. One official told Reuters that although there is no critical shortage, Tomahawks are not easily transferable to Ukraine's current launch platforms, and their release would likely require extensive training and modification. Pentagon has prioritized maintaining its supply of Tomahawks for naval operations and other strategic deterrence. According to defense budget documents cited by Reuters, the US plans to produce just 57 Tomahawks in 2026 at an average cost of $1.3 million per missile. Reuters also reports that Vice President J.D. Vance has acknowledged that the administration is reviewing Ukraine's request, but the move faces internal debate and some concerns. The Kremlin, for its part, has warned that any U.S. decision to supply Tomahawk would provoke so-called escalation. But instead of Tomahawks, Washington may continue to support Ukraine through intelligence sharing and shorter-range weapon system. U.S. officials are also looking to NATO allies to explore alternative options for supplying long-range strike capabilities throughout joint efforts. The report highlights growing pressure on the U.S. and its European partners to find an effective way to support Ukraine's defense, also due to current risk of escalation. However, Ukraine is increasingly eyeing alternative long-range strike options, including a next-generation missile known as the Barracuda 500. According to a report by Defense Express, this missile, developed by U.S. defense tech company Anduril Industries, is emerging as potential game-changer, designed for both air and ground-based launch platforms. The missile has a range of approximately 900 kilometers when air launch up to 600-700. While its warhead is relatively small, military analysts say its precision and capability could make a valuable addition to Ukraine's arsenal. The growing interest in Barracuda comes as the US and NATO allies continue to weigh how much long-range capability to provide Ukraine amid escalation tensions between Russia and NATO countries. Some experts suggest that Barracuda or similar systems could fill the gap if Tomahawk remains off the table. Still, integrating such weapons in Ukraine's existing forces poses challenges. The country lacks sufficient competitive aircraft and ground-based launch systems. Meanwhile, Ukraine continues to use US-supplied ATACMS missiles to strike Russian positions up to 300 kilometers away. Meanwhile, proposed technology sharing agreement between United States and Ukraine, backed by President Trump and Ukrainian President Zelensky, could provide US military with direct access to Ukraine's battlefield drone technology, a key area where Ukraine has gained a global edge. That's according to a detailed report this week by The Wall Street Journal. The detail and the deal still under negotiation would allow Pentagon and US defense companies to tap into Ukraine's evolving unmanned aerial vehicle capabilities. Technology honed over nearly 3 years of intensive combat with the Russian forces. Ukrainian officials told Journal the proposal would also allow Ukraine to secure access to advanced American weaponry and long-range missiles in exchange for opening the door to its highly effective low-cost drone systems. The talks were led by Ukraine Deputy Defense Minister Sergei Boyo and involved Pentagon State Department representatives. Ukrainian officials presented 3 potential paths for cooperation: a royalties-based licensing model for US production of Ukrainian drones, establishing US-based subsidiary of Ukraine drone manufacturer, or direct purchases of Ukrainian UAVs by the Pentagon for operational use or technology transfer. Ukraine has emerged as a global leader in UAV deployment due in part to necessity. Since the full-scale invasion of Ukraine by Russia, Ukrainian forces have integrated drones into nearly every aspect of modern combat, reconnaissance, target acquisition, loitering munition strikes, and more. Ukraine reportedly manufactured more than 2 million drones over the past year alone, according to defense officials cited by the Wall Street Journal. Moreover, these systems are often 20–30% the cost of comparable Western drones, yet they have demonstrated effectiveness on par with more expensive platforms. US military officials are increasingly interested in Ukrainian drone innovations, which have proven especially effective in electronic warfare conditions and in coordinating swarm attacks. One Pentagon official described Ukraine's UAV capabilities as a tactical laboratory, offering a rare opportunity for US to study large-scale drone warfare. According to Wall Street Journal, US defense firms have already shown interest in licensing Ukrainian designs, particularly loitering munition and first-person view kamikaze drones. The talks are part of a broader push for Kyiv to deepen technological ties with Washington at a time when US assistance has come under greater pressure. Ukrainian negotiators view the drone tech deal as a both economic opportunity and pathway to receiving more advanced Western arms, including systems that Washington has previously been reluctant to provide, as Tomahawk cruise missile and other long-range strike capabilities. That's all for today. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and glory to Ukraine!